In the freezing mountains of Montana, a paralyzed little girl struggled to survive alone until a Hells Angels biker appeared and changed her life forever. This powerful story will touch your heart and restore your faith in humanity. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Where are you watching from? Let's get started. The icy wind swept across the empty plains of Montana, whistling through the pines and piling snow against an old wooden cabin. Inside, 8-year-old Lily Parker sat huddled beneath a worn blanket, her tiny body trembling with cold. Her legs lay still under the tattered quilt, paralyzed since the accident that took her parents months ago. The fireplace crackled weakly, its glow dimming with every passing hour. The last of her canned soup was gone, and her small hands shook as she tried to light another log with the matches she had left. "Please, just one more night," she whispered, her voice breaking. The world outside was silent, buried in snow. No neighbors, no passing cars, just an endless sea of white. The nearest town was nearly 20 miles away, far beyond what she could ever reach. Her stomach growled softly, but she was too weak to cry anymore. Meanwhile, far down the highway, a roar of engines broke the stillness. A group of Hells Angels bikers cut through the storm, their headlights glinting off the snow. They were on a winter charity run, delivering blankets and food to veterans living off-grid. Among them rode Jack Bear Henderson, a rugged man in his 50s with a thick beard and a leather jacket covered in patches. He had the kind of face that told stories, one of loss, survival, and redemption. As the bikers cruised through the frozen mountain pass, Bear slowed down. He thought he saw something, a faint line of smoke rising through the trees. It was unusual this deep into the wilderness. "You see that?" he called over the wind. The others looked but shook their heads. "Could be nothing," one of them said, but Bear couldn't shake the feeling. "I'll check it out. Meet you down the road," he said firmly. He parked his Harley near a snowbank and began trudging uphill, boots sinking deep into the icy ground. The wind howled louder the higher he climbed, but he kept going, guided only by that thin wisp of smoke. After nearly an hour, he reached the cabin. The roof was sagging, the windows frosted over. He banged on the door, no answer. When he pushed it open, the sight froze him in his tracks. A tiny girl lay by a dying fire, lips pale, eyes half closed. "Hey, sweetheart," Bear said softly, kneeling beside her. She barely stirred. "It's okay, I got you," he whispered, taking off his jacket and wrapping it around her trembling shoulders. Her voice was barely a breath. "I'm hungry." Bear's chest tightened. "You're safe now," he promised, lifting her gently into his arms. As he stepped back into the storm, snowflakes clung to his beard and the cold bit into his skin. But he didn't stop. With every step through the blizzard, he whispered to her, "Hold on, kid. We're gonna make it." And somewhere in that frozen wilderness, hope began to flicker again, carried in the arms of a biker who refused to let a little girl die alone in the cold. The snowstorm raged as Bear Henderson stumbled out of the forest, his arms cradling the frail, motionless body of Lily Parker. His jacket was wrapped tightly around her, and his breath came in heavy clouds. The wind stung his face, but he didn't slow down, not even for a second. When he finally reached the road, his biker brothers were waiting, engines idling in the swirling snow. "Bear! What the hell?" shouted Rex, one of the riders, before his voice faltered at the sight of the child in Bear's arms. "She's alive, but she's freezing," Bear yelled over the wind. "We need to move, now." The gang sprang into action without hesitation. One biker poured coffee into a thermos and handed it over. Another tore open a saddlebag, pulling out blankets and wrapping them around the little girl. Bear sat down on the snow, holding her close to his chest as he tried to warm her with his body heat. "Stay with me, kid. Don't you give up on me now," he whispered. The road ahead was treacherous, miles of ice, zero visibility. But none of them cared. "We're not letting her die out here," Bear said, climbing back onto his Harley with Lily in his arms. Rex handed him a spare helmet, his face tight with worry. "Lead the way, brother. We've got your back." With a thunderous roar, the Hells Angels convoy tore through the blizzard, headlights slicing through the snow. The sound of their engines echoed through the frozen valley, a defiant heartbeat against the silence of winter. Bear kept one hand on the throttle, the other securing Lily against his chest. Every mile felt like a lifetime, every gust of wind a challenge. Cars pulled over on the highway as the bikers rode past. Rough, tattooed men wrapped in leather, shielding a tiny girl from the storm. Drivers stared in disbelief, filming as the convoy thundered by, their red taillights glowing like embers in the whiteout. Hours later, they reached the small-town hospital. Bear didn't even stop his bike. He rolled straight to the emergency entrance, shouting for help. Nurses and doctors rushed out, carefully taking Lily from his arms. "Severe hypothermia, dehydration, malnourishment," one nurse said quickly. "But she's still breathing. Let's get her inside!" Bear stood there, his arms empty, his chest heaving. For the first time in years, he felt tears sting his eyes. He had seen too much loss in his life. But this time, he had saved one. A few days later, when Lily opened her eyes in a warm hospital bed, Bear was sitting beside her, holding her teddy bear. "You came back," she said softly, a weak smile spreading across her lips. "Didn't I tell you?" "You're one of us now," he said with a grin. Word of the rescue spread fast. Hell's Angels save paralyzed girl from freezing to death. The world, for once, saw them as they truly were, men with rough hands but soft hearts. Weeks later, when Lily was discharged, the Hell's Angels returned, not with noise or pride, but with love. They had built a custom sidecar for her wheelchair, painted with angel wings and the words, "Lily's Ride." As Bear lifted her in and started the engine, she laughed, the first real laugh since her parents' death. The convoy rolled out of town, engines rumbling like thunder, the sky clear and bright above them. For Lily, winter had finally ended, because sometimes angels ride Harleys.